Eliot Clough here for HawkeyeInsider following Iowa's 68-62 victory over Rutgers here in Carver Hawkeye Arena, getting their second Big Ten victory in a row, moving to 4-4 in conference, 14-5, 13-5 overall, somewhere in there. So Hawkeyes getting the W despite a, well, sloppy, one might say awful, clunky, however you want to put it, beginning of the first half, beginning of the second half before things got rolling. After about the 10-minute mark in both halves, Tate Sage ignites, if you could say that, ignites the run in both halves, finishing tonight with 17 points, I think 3 threes, 2 threes, and making some critical free throws at the very end of the game to seal it, getting them that 4-point lead with less than 20 seconds to go. Isaiah Howard gets 2 free throws to go as well. Bennett Sturtz really struggled tonight. Finished, I think it was 6 of 21 or 8 of 21 from the field. It was 8 of 21 from the field. Sean always has these stat sheets. I gotta get them myself. But I believe it was 8 of 21 from the field for 20 points. Airballed a 3 at the beginning of the game. Started 0 for 4 from the field. So Bennett, after one of the best games of his season to this point, 27 points against Indiana, he struggled tonight. Iowa still finds a way to get the victory. And one thing that I've said since the beginning of the season, since they started to get in more competitive games, is that this team just continues to show resiliency. Whether they're down in the second half, whether it's a close game, or even if they end up losing, Purdue, Illinois, Minnesota, they fought back in those games. This one of those games where it pays off against a team that was a really tough matchup. I mean, Iowa struggled with how Rutgers iced the pick and roll. Emmanuel Ogbole was just, a real hassle for them to handle, whether it was on offense or defense tonight. I don't believe he put up a ton of stats, but just his size and the amount of space he took up particularly on the defensive side of the ball for them, made it really difficult for Iowa to finish around the rim, to get downhill. There was one particular set that Ben McCollum said in his post-game presser that was working particularly well for them in the second half after that 10-minute mark, so they just kept going to it. They were able to get downhill and separate a little bit. Officiating, I didn't think officiating was poor tonight, but there was a string of calls. Whether they were accurate or not, I will leave up to you. We'll say that. And the momentum was kind of killed for the Iowa offense because of those whistles. Still, they got it done, and they did it without a great game from their star. Sure, he put up 20 points tonight in Bennett Sturtz, but really was not efficient from the field. Still made some shots, still made some tough shots, but it really came down to Tate Sage and Isaiah Howard tonight. Howard didn't score a ton of points either, but his defensive intensity, his willingness to make tough plays, winning plays throughout the game tonight were critical for the Hawkeyes in order to get that win. He had a turnover that he forced in the later in the second half that was a layup. I believe that was right after Sage hit that. Again, another igniting three-pointer in the second half. He was sensational. Tate Sage, probably, again, one of the best games, if not the best game of his young career at Iowa. He has really shown a mental fortitude and a calmness that most freshmen don't have, let alone freshman that starts his career expecting to be at Drake, a mid-major program, to start his basketball career. He ends up here at Iowa, and he's become a critical part of the rotation. Again, a phenomenal game from him tonight. Tavion Banks gets in a little foul trouble, but he doesn't really seem, other than that, of course, you don't want to get in foul trouble. You don't want to be sent to the bench just because of foul trouble. But he almost seemed like he didn't skip a beat tonight from what he did against Indiana. And if he can stay on the floor, of course, you prefer to have him on the floor if you're Iowa. Had a couple critical layups in the game, or really important layups that either got Iowa back in the contest, got things flowing again, or just provided a little bit of a boost. Another kind of, I don't know that he disappeared tonight, but another game where Alvaro wasn't a huge factor. Cale Combs did some good things tonight. You go down the list and you'll find a positive thing or two to say about everybody. Cooper Koch, again, struggling from three. That seems to have carried over from the last few games, but finding ways to impact the game defensively or on the glass. Cam Maniout was really good as a roller tonight. That was something that Sean Bach pointed out on Twitter, and I could tell that it was working late in the game, and that's one of those sets that Ben McCollum was referencing, the high pick and roll where Cam would get it in his pocket, and he'd either have the ability to get downhill and get to the rim for a dunk or a layup, or find a shooter in the corner or on the perimeter somewhere. And that sort of development is huge for Iowa offensively, especially when you do it far away from the basket, considering his size. He's only 6'9", matching up with centers who are 6'10", 6'11", 7 feet here in the Big Ten. So if he's able to do that, able to maybe sort of facilitate as a roller and have the opportunity to score in that fashion, that would be huge. You don't need him to be your second best scorer, but you need him to be able to do things like that, especially given the lack of size. And sure, he's listed at 6'9", 250, but matching up against Ogbale, who's listed at 6'10", 260, it looked like a very different sort of player matching up against each other. Ogbale, a Nigerian native who really pops when you see him on the floor, just shredded. Stood out a little bit differently in terms of his physical size and stature. But either way, the Hawkeyes get it done, get a victory to end this streak of games. They'll have 8 days off where Iowa will be able to rest, recover, get some hard practices in where they can learn some things and adjust as the season goes along. But Hawkeyes have won their 4th game in the Big Ten. Things are trending in the right direction, and still they've got a few more games in a row that should be won. So a positive spot for Iowa to be in, especially under a first-year coach with a largely mid-major roster. So of course, Big Ten is still going to be a gauntlet. Purdue is right around the corner on February 14th on Valentine's Day. Cross that bridge when we get to it. For now, they've got USC in 8 days here. They'll play the Trojans at home, and they'll have an opportunity to get above 500 in the Big Ten, which of course would be a major win for Ben McCollum and the Hawkeyes. So again, they take the victory tonight, 68-62 over Rutgers. I am Eliot Clough for Hawkeye Insider. Almost said Swarmcast. Sorry about that. Eliot Clough for Hawkeye Insider and 24/7 Sports. We'll talk to you soon.